Hi, I'm Jerry Maynard, publisher of the new magazine, The Nashville Voice. We're here because the Buffalo Pack is hosting their fundraiser for Governor Phil Bredesen, who's running for the United States Senate here at Sweat's Restaurant. So glad you're here. Join us as we go inside. Hi, I'm Jerry Maynard, and I'm the publisher of the magazine called The Nashville Voice. I'm here with my dear friend Michael Carter, who's a member of the Buffalo Pack, and he's here supporting Phil Bredesen for United States Senate. Michael, welcome, man. I'm so glad we could be here at this event. Tell us why you're a member of the Buffalo Pack, what you all do, and why you're here for Bredesen.
The Buffalo Pack, Jerry, is a very important institution and an organization. We're talking about men of color that, in fact, are business people, they're teachers, they're administrators, who in fact come together to look at being supportive of, again, our community, particularly with a focus on education.
Wow.
Okay, and we're supportive of our historical black colleges like TSU and Fisk University. And so I've been a member for, I would gather now, probably about 10 years.
Yeah.
And one of the nice aspects of being a member for 10 years is you can come to Sweats and for me have my pork chops when I come here. David Sweat takes care of me, so I'm always really excited about coming to meetings. But the mission and the importance of the PAC in terms of the role that they play is to try to be outreaching in their efforts to want to look at, as I said, impacting our community, particularly in terms of the issue of fundraising and giving monies in support of, again, those elected officials who, in fact, are going to be supportive of, again, higher education in terms of historical black schools and those issues that, in fact, our community, whether, in fact, it's economic inclusion, whether again supportive of Nashville public schools. So it's an important organization of anybody of color, particularly in terms of this is something that's for men of color. To belong to this organization, to be part of something that in fact has some real interest in wanting to look at taking this community to another level.
So you're here supporting Phil Bredesen for Senate.
Yes.
That's awesome. So my name is Jerry Maynard. I'm here with Michael Carter, one of the strong business leaders and leaders in our community, and we're so happy that you took this time to talk to us. We're here at the Phil Bredesen for United States Senate fundraiser. Have a good one. All right.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Hi, I'm Jerry Maynard, publisher of the new magazine, The Nashville Voice, and we are here at Sweats with the Buffalo Pack. And I'm here with my dear friend Alfred, who's the chairman. Alfred, tell me who you are, tell me what the Buffalo Pack does, and your title is chairman.
All right, hello everyone, my name is Alfred DeGraffenreid. I serve as the chair of the Buffalo Pack. The Buffalo Pack is an organization that was founded many years ago of African American males to go after the educational system and improve it, both HBCUs and the public system here. So that's one thing. It's been around for over 2 decades. It was founded by some great pillars of the community, and I'm just excited to be in that number and be a chairman of the organization.
Now you're here today because you're supporting Phil Bredesen for United States Senate. Why is that important?
Well, it's important to support someone like Phil Bredesen to represent us in Washington, D.C. because D.C. is broken, and we need someone who can take our Tennessee values to D.C. and show people how to get things done. As a 2-term governor and a 2-term mayor of Nashville, we've seen a lot of leadership and a lot of growth under his leadership, and that's some things that he can do in Washington, D.C.
Well, we just want to make sure that everybody gets involved. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure that you vote in November. This election is important, and I'm so glad that we're here with Alfred. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Chairman of the Buffalo Pack.
Jerry.
So glad to be here at this event at Sweat's Restaurant.
All right, thank you all so much for coming out here this evening. My name is Alfred DeGraffenreid. I'm the president of the Buffalo Pack, and it's my honor to turn over the floor to Michael Carter, who is the host of this fundraiser this evening. So thank you, Michael Carter.
Thank you, Alfred. I'm one of the hosts. But first of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight, because again, there's probably a lot of other places you could be, but to be here to be supportive of our next U.S. Senator from Tennessee, we're so glad that you can make it. Yeah! Most of you, again, know the history, the background of Governor Bredesen. I'm not going to talk about his accomplishments and all that he's done. But I do think that it's important that at least there be kind of a number of, one particular issue that I think is critical when you talk about this particular race. And I'm sure that you've heard that he's fortunate enough to be at a point where, again, he's maybe 4 or 5 points ahead in the polls in terms of the opposition. That is unique, I think, in this particular time, in this particular moment. Because in a red state, to be up maybe by 4 or 5 points in a red state, and we're talking about, again, historic. It's really unique. And I think it's wonderful that you have someone that, again, can be transcendent and working across party lines, a person who, in fact, again, is going to be inclusive, a person who's going to be very much committed to looking at impacting our community in a way, particularly our community in a way, that's going to, again, continue to lead to greater growth and prosperity. It's unique to find a leader who, in fact, has those kind of traits and has that kind of character and that kind of commitment. We all know Governor Bredesen's background, from where in which he came. And it's a unique story that I really enjoy hearing a lot about, particularly when you talk about someone that is acclaimed, that has acquired and has risen to the level that he's risen, and growing up in a small school setting where everybody was in the same room. I mean, so we're not talking about someone that, in fact, had the opportunity to go to elite private school when they were a young person. And so, truly a self-made person that didn't come from much. And when you talk about a public servant that, in fact, says, I've had business success, and I've made money, but I want to give back. Because in their heart, it's about public service work. That's a unique blend of person. I know what my wife went through when she ran. It was a pilgrimage. It was a journey that she, in fact, was on. Because she would be gone from morning to night, and she ran in 82 counties. And that's what the governor's done. He really is a guy that really, Andre don't have to do this. They really don't have to do this. So it really is about service. And contrary to, again, sometimes the negative positions that people have in terms of how they look at, again, politicals, if you have the good fortune to know people who really, again, in their heart, are about public service and about giving back, it's unique quality, it's unique trait, and we're lucky to have those kind of folks. So we need to make sure that that 4 or 5 point advantage expands, it widens, it grows. And so we thank you for your financial support tonight. But what's critical, and I'm sure the governor will in fact talk about that, is that we need to look at making sure we get our vote. We need to make sure we get our family and our friends out to vote. We need to make this happen. We need a progressive, inclusive type of a leader, in fact, that's going to make a difference in the lives of, again, our community. He's done that as mayor. He's done that as governor. We now need to send him to the Senate and make sure that, in fact, again, he makes a difference. Someone that can reach across the aisle. Someone that, in fact, could look at, again, saying, what's best? What's good? Partisanship aside, what's best for this country? What's best for Tennessee? What's going to be best for Nashville? What's going to be best for our community? He's been there, he's done that, he's got the t-shirt to show for it. And that's why we're behind him. And with your help, again, we're going to get him elected. Phil Bredesen, the next senator from Nashville.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. You can have more time if you want. It was great. First of all, just to repeat, thank you all very much for being here. One of the things that's been, I guess, so gratifying and so pleasing about kind of coming back into this again has been just the number of people who've been willing to step forward, some of whom I've known, others of whom I've never met before, and consider it important, and it really makes you feel very good. I've got a lot of old friends in this room tonight. And David, I don't know if you remember, but when I was elected governor, the next morning after the election, I was right there having our very first press conference in this room. So maybe that's a good omen for being for being here tonight. Let me just talk a little bit with you about kind of why I'm doing it. And I'd love to give you a little update on the campaign. There are all people who are a little bit political junkies in this room, and I think enjoy that, and obviously ask for your continued help. when I left the governor's office, I had no intention of running for office again. It would not have made my top 100 list of things I was thinking about doing. Because, I had really enjoyed my time as mayor and as governor and thought we got some good things done. But I think it's okay to use a slice of your life for that and then go on and do other kinds of things, and that's really where we both were. When Bob Corker said he wasn't going to run again, I had some people start calling me, including a couple people in this room, and just say, you ought to think about this a little bit. And Andrea and I decided we really wanted to. It was, as Michael hinted, kind of a big decision because we're at that point in life where we've got some options, and if I'm successful in November, which I believe I'll be, I could spend a huge part of the rest of my life getting on a plane Monday night, going up to Washington, coming back Thursday night, and then going around to different parts of the state on Friday and Saturday. So it's obviously got to be for something you feel strongly about. Both of us have got just this incredibly strong feeling that we need to find some ways to thank our adoptive state here for everything that's happened with us. As I think probably most of you know, I was not born in Tennessee. If you don't know that, there's been millions of dollars wasted by various opponents. To let you know, I actually grew up in a small town in upstate New York, up in the western part of New York State. It's called Shortsville. It's 1,100 people. And Andrea and I came down here in the late 70s. We had just gotten married, and she had a job here with HCA, and I sort of followed her here and said, well, I'll make my way in Tennessee. But when we came here, we've been married 10 months. We were in her Volkswagen with the two of us in the front and all of our joint marital possessions in the back. She had a job, I did not. She mentions this still occasionally from time to time. We did not know a soul in the state. There was not one soul in the state of Tennessee that either of us knew. And we came here and we got a one-bedroom furnished apartment over at the corner of Harding Place and Nolansville Road. The people in here will know where that is, kind of up above the McDonald's. We did not start out in Belmead. And we started building our lives here together. And over the years, I was able to build a company up to a successful company and to be mayor and to be governor. And I am just very aware that none of that would have happened except for just the enormous opportunities that were presented to us, the number of people who were willing to step forward and help at various times, I really think the job of every grown-up is to try to help make things better for the next generation. That's job number one. And I really just, if there are ways in which I can help provide some of those same kind of opportunities to the generations coming along behind, I can't think of anything better that I would like to do, nor can Andrea with this, at this point in our lives. So we took the plunge, and I'm really glad I did. I've enjoyed it tremendously. It's been a chance to get back and get to know again a whole bunch of people that I knew both as mayor and as governor, and you kind of lose touch with a lot of those people over time, and it's been really gratifying getting to see a lot of parts of the state before that I went to as governor, and we've got such a beautiful and diverse state. That was great as well. I think the campaign is going reasonably well. Donald Trump won this state by 26 points, so there's a little bit of a well you have to sort of climb out of before you start being competitive in something like this. But I think it's happening. It's a special situation. I think it would be very hard for a generic, well-qualified Democrat to do this time. It's having been governor and the structure you build up around that and so on that really sort of makes it possible. But if I can do it and do a good job in the job, I think that opens the door in a lot of ways for other people to come on and do that. It's been interesting about how the sense of the campaign has changed. When I first started back in January and February, there's kind of a feeling of, well, you know, that's interesting, and I'm really glad we've got a candidate, but, you know, the progress of governors becoming senators has not exactly been real strong in this country. Evan Bayh was a very popular governor who failed again in the Senate. Strickland up in Ohio. There's just been a bunch of these. So there's kind of a sense early on about, well, you know, there's a lot. He's got a lot of proving to do before we believe this. That was kind of over, I think, by April or May. And then it just became much more, well, that's nice, but Donald Trump did win by 26 points. And as you start getting a little closer into a real campaign and people start thinking about how they're voting, a lot of people are going to come back home again. And I just can't quite see how a Democrat's going to win in this state when the last one was in the early 90s for a Senate seat. And I think that's behind us now too. I mean, it's now, you know, 44 days before the election. We're still in fine shape in the polls. I mean, I'd love it to be 15, but that's unrealistic. And I think people are actually starting to engage now, saying, you know, this might actually happen here. And I've been really pleased with the amount of interest in young people all across the state. I was really concerned about that because I'm not young, number one. And number two, you know, it's such a terrible place up in Washington right now. I kind of came of political age at a time when people really did look to the federal government as something which could be a source of good things in the country, and that good people could accomplish things, their ideals and so on, working in that structure. That's a little harder fence to get over these days. So I was really worried people would just be getting cynical and just say, you know, that's not the way to do it. Let's figure something out. I could not have been more wrong, and that's made me feel really good, both about my prospects for success, but even more about our country. I mean, the amount of enthusiasm out there among young people who are knocking on doors and telephone calls and being interns, it's just been really overwhelming, and could well be the difference in this campaign between success and failure. I want to just close this, and I'd be happy to obviously listen to any advice or take any questions or anything like that you would like. You spend a lot of time going around, and that's a lot of it shaking hands, and you come to fundraisers like this, and I've done that, of course, all across the state and in other parts of the country as well, obviously. People who come to these things are, they're politically pretty sophisticated people, and sometimes people are looking for, well, what's the payback here for my investing in this kind of thing? And it reminds me of a time, I grew up in a single-parent family, and my mother made a lot of sacrifices of various sorts when I was growing up, and choices she made, and I didn't appreciate them, I'm sure, very much at the time, but as I got a little older, I started to understand just the kinds of things that she had done. And I remember one time when I was I was in college, and I needed some help with something, and she did, and I knew it was a stretch forward and so on. And I said, Mom, thank you, and I'll pay you back someday. And she said, no, don't do that. I don't want you to pay me back. She said, I want you to pay me forward. I hope someday you're going to have a wife and some kids of your own. And I'd just like you, when it comes time for you to make some choices about what you do and what ways you support these young people you're going to have and the spouse you're going to have, I'd like you to remember this then and pay me forward. So I would say to you, thank you for your checks. If anybody expects any payback, you'll probably be disappointed. But I do plan to pay you forward by being the best senator you ever sent up to the city of Washington. Thank you.